Facebook going off. Oh.
So as we've just gone live, but we're going to wait a few minutes before actually starting. So welcome to those that are in the room.
Welcome, welcome. Let me pull up.
And Source, are you Source Jackson and Source Brown? Can you tell if you could see if it's gone live on Facebook? Make sure.
I can see it. We're
You
good to
can
go.
you're seeing it. Okay. Okay.
Facebook. Mhm.
Awesome. I wasn't seeing it just yet on my phone. But I'm gonna give us a couple more minutes. Um,
Good evening, Source on Facebook and in the Zoom. Thank you for joining us. If you want to go ahead and start and put where you're from in the chapter, I'm sorry, in the chat box and where you're joining us from, and we'll get started in a few minutes.
okay.
Maybe we can give it one more minute or so, and then we can get
Yeah.
started.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Source, go ahead and be sure to note where you're from, either on Facebook Live or on Zoom.
Yep. And I'll go ahead and get started. Um, Good evening, Soars. Thank you all for joining us. I am Sora Nakia Jackson. I'm the very proud campaign manager for the Toy for Tamias campaign. And tonight we have a very special treat. This is our opportunity for Soras who haven't had a chance to meet Toy one-on-one. I know she's been doing a lot of traveling, to hear from her, hear about her background, hear about experience, and hear about what she plans to do in the role as International Tamias for Zeta. And we're really looking forward to hearing from her tonight. We're excited to have you all here. And we'll get started with the video from Toy. But first, I just want to invite everyone to put their questions in the chat. If they have any questions, whenever they come up, just feel free to drop them in the chat. There'll be plenty of opportunities to engage with Sora Toy during this talk. And also, if you can put your devices on mute. Again, like I said, there'll be plenty of opportunities for us to engage, and we'll get started with the video first.
To my sorors of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. I am TOI Thurman, and I'm excited to share my journey and vision as a candidate for International Tamias. This position is about more than managing finances. It's about earning your trust, ensuring accountability, and protecting the financial strength of our sisterhood for generations to come. I was born in Jackson, Mississippi, and grew up in Oak Cliff and later DeSoto, two Dallas communities that shaped so much of who I am. I'm blessed with parents who grounded me in faith, taught me responsibility, and to always give back. Their teaching has guided me throughout my life and is the foundation of who I am today. I'm the oldest of four, two brothers, and my sister Ty, who we lost in 2019. I carry her memory with me every day. I'm also a proud aunt to one niece and 8 nephews, and the dog mom of one very special Yorkie, Eddie King. In my career, I've built a powerful foundation in accounting, leading audits, driving close processes, preparing SEC reports, training teams across the globe, implementing financial systems, and guiding accounting teams to stay fully compliant. Every step has strengthened my ability to manage resources with excellence. And that matters because in an organization as impactful as Zeta, every single dollar fuels the principles that we were founded upon: scholarship, service, sisterhood, and final womanhood. My Zeta journey began on February 17, 1994, through Lambda Beta chapter at Jackson State University. I am a Zeta Legacy and Diamond Life member. I have had the privilege of serving in roles such as Tamias Grammatis, Budget Chair, and most recently as a member of the International Finance Committee. Each role has deepened my commitment to our principles and strengthened my understanding of the financial systems that keep our sisterhood thriving. I have seen firsthand how strong financial leadership empowers us to serve more, give more, and grow more. I have been blessed with mentors, both in Zeta and in my professional life, who taught me that leadership is about trust and accountability. I am now seeking the role of International Treasurer because I am committed to protecting our legacy through strong, transparent financial practices. My vision is to elevate financial reporting, reinforce compliance, expand financial training, and ensure that every dollar advances our mission. Thank you, Soros, for allowing me to share my journey. From my roots in Jackson, Mississippi, to growing up in Dallas, Texas, through my transformative years at Jackson State University, and every step along my Zeta professional path. I've gained experiences that shape my commitment to serve. Every chapter has taught me the value of leadership, accountability, and sisterhood, guiding me today as I seek to honor our legacy and secure our future. It would be my privilege to have your support as we work together to strengthen the financial foundation of Zeta. I am TOI Thurman, and I'm ready to serve as your next International Tamias.
Great. I always love that video. You'll see the QR code on the screen, Soares. If you want, you can click on that and that'll take you directly to the Toy for Tamias campaign website. And without further ado, I'm proud to introduce Sora TOI Thurman, your next International Tamias.
All right. Thank you so much, Sora Jackson. I am excited to be before you today. I've been excited as I've been traveling across the country, and I wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to talk, even if you haven't been able to go to the conferences that I've been attending. In front of you, you will see the 3 pillars of my campaign, and these are important to me: financially focused, trusted experience, and sisterly centered leadership. And we'll go through that this evening. In front of you is a quote that I like to reflect on, and many of you know it. It's a good Zeta is a well-informed Zeta, and that's from our past International Grand Boss list, Mary Brill Wright. And I always think this is important because not only is it important to be a well-informed Zeta, but it's important to be a well-informed Zeta in regards to our finances. So let's move forward. So again, we're going to cover the 3 pillars of my campaign: financially focused, trusted experience, and sisterly centered leadership. All right, So hopefully some of you have had the opportunity to start to see some of the uh, things have been released on my campaign. In front of you, you'll see where I'm highlighting financially focused. That's one thing about the campaign is that we wanted to make sure that we definitely were intentional about what's being released in the campaign. Tried to be fun. But at the same time, we wanted to make sure that we continue to show that this campaign and me, Toy, as Tamias of this organization, I'm always going to be financially focused. But I wanted to make sure that whatever I did as Tamias of this organization, that I'm approachable, that you understand, and that you feel comfortable coming to me if you have any questions. So in front of you, you'll see an example of one of the releases that was made in regards to a budget template, an actual budget training. So again, try to be a little bit fun, but also provide some information and tools for you as Tamias or as your next international Tamias of Zeta. And so moving forward, again, the first pillar of the campaign is financially focused, and I equate that to being to financial excellence. And so, of course, being the Tamias of the organization means that for me, that I need to promote responsible stewardship of our sorority funds. And when I say that, I not only mean for the international level, but that's important for us at all levels of the organization. And I think somebody needs to mute. I think we need to mute somebody. I'm sorry, I wanted to stop real quick. But when it comes to responsible stewardship, I want to make sure that we're doing that at all levels. And so when we in order for us to do that, that means that we need training on all levels of the organization to make sure that that we are responsible for the stewardship. And so also when it comes to the organization, as far as financial excellence, one of the things that I've noticed in the many years in working in Zeta, and especially now just paying more attention to the international level, is that we tend to only budget for the upcoming year. And as someone that's worked in the accounting profession for many years, I know how important it is for us to have a robust budgeting and forecasting strategy. And so that's one of the things that I want to make sure that we do going forward is that we build a really strong budgeting and forecast process. And so not only do that, but then provide that example to the other layers of the organization. And then on top of that, on top of the budgeting, also help to build better auditing processes, which means we document the internal control structure and the processes for the organization. And again, providing that example for the other layers of the organization. So then the next pillar of the campaign is trusted experience. And this is also very important to me. So one of the things I want to make sure that I do and what I have been doing is try to help you to understand the experience that I have to offer the organization. The organization of Zeta, the sisterhood has given me so much, and I want to make sure that I'm giving that back. And then also go over what I plan to offer as with the experience that I have. So the next slide basically shows you, again, this is some of what you would see if you follow my campaign, is me going over in detail. And this is what I like to do, Source. I like to make sure that I'm very plain, that I explain what it is that I want you to understand, because I believe that's very important when it comes to this role, is that you have to understand that everybody's not accountants, everybody's not a certified public accountant. And so you have to make sure that people understand, and you have to be very transparent. And so again, this slide that you see basically is explaining one of the roles that I've had in my career and explaining what that means to the organization. So I encourage you to follow the campaign so that you can see that. But I actually am going to go over a lot of my experience tonight, and feel free to if you have additional questions in regards to my experience. All right. So on this slide, if any of you have seen me on the campaign trail, one of the things that I've been handing out as part of my campaign has been a card that summarizes my experience. And I definitely believe that it's important to have a Zeta experience. I've been in good standing in Zeta ever since I joined 32 years ago, and you can see that I have quite a bit of Zeta experience, but I also have professional experience. But on the right-hand side, you'll see that my Zeta experience. I currently serve on the International Finance Committee. And then I've also served as Office and Training and Development webinar presenter. I currently serve as a facilitator for the Southern Region Leadership Development Academy. And with that responsibility, I'm helping to lead training for internal audits for the cohort that's participating in the Southern Region Leadership Development Academy. So again, that's very important to make sure that we have SORAs in place that can actually provide internal audits to their chapters. I've served as Southern Region Tamias, Southern Region Member Plan Administrator, and I want to add to that, not only did I serve as Tamias and serve as Southern Region Member Plan Administrator, as Tamias, I was the first one to actually utilize QuickBooks online and use it fully for the Southern region. And then also with that, I made sure that the Tamias Grammatius began to use that. And so now both roles use QuickBooks Online as the financial platform of the region. And that's where we provide all of our financial information. And so all of it is housed there. And so that was one of the things I made sure that I did when I was the Tamias of the region, is making sure that we fully implemented the financial tools that we had. And again, as member plan administrator, not only was I administrator, but I took the lead in implementing the membership database that we currently use today. So we use that to track our Southern Region membership, to send out information to the SORAs in our region. We actually set it up so that if chapters want to use it, they can use Member Planet as their membership platform as well. I served as the budget chair. I've served as my chapter Tamias and Tamias Grammatius. And again, that one of the things I made sure to do was implement QuickBooks Online for my chapter, and made sure that both financial officers were utilizing this financial platform. So again, Soras, I don't just do a role. I try to make sure that I leave something there, leave a legacy. And I wanted to go back also in serving as the Southern Region Tamias. I was part of the team that implemented a new SOP for the Southern region that hadn't been updated in over 20 years. Also, I served as our 501c3 for my chapter as Storks Nest Charity Fund of Dallas treasurer, again, making sure that we implemented QuickBooks Online and making sure that the treasurer and financial secretary were working together in one financial platform. So just wanted to kind of outline that and what I've done from a financial perspective in Zeta. But on the left-hand side, Source, I wanted to make sure that you understood what my experience is professionally. And so again, I've started to introduce some of this online, but I wanted to tell this to you personally. So we're going to start from the bottom. At the bottom, you'll see where I served. I served at PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and that's where I began my career when I graduated from Jackson State University. This is where I got a base of my knowledge source. This is where they taught us so much so that we would be able to go out in the field and interact with professionals just across the accounting field. And so basically we had to go out in the field and represent this organization. And many of you probably do know that PricewaterhouseCoopers is one of the most reputable accounting firms there is. And so that's where I received a base of my knowledge. That was where I actually passed the CPA exam while I was there. And after working at PwC, For a few years, I moved on to Excel Communications that was later purchased by Vartech, and where I was promoted not too long after to a supervisor, revenue accounting. And so this is where I really learned a lot after coming out of auditing, learned even more leadership skills that I'd already learned at PwC. PwC taught me a lot in regards to how to evaluate talent, and how to lead, how to encourage, how to empower. And so I use that going into the role of supervisor at Excel Communications. And so I always reflect on this role because this role is the role that taught me how to always pay attention, how to always dig in. And so one of my things that I did when I was there is that when I transitioned over to the supervisor of revenue accounting there, I within like a month or so found an issue. It wasn't a great thing for the company, but it was good that we found it. It actually ended up being started out as an $88 million error. Ended up being about 100 million by the time it was all done and said. And essentially, what was found is that when we transitioned to a new billing system, the what was supposed to be billed out to our customers never went out the door, and my predecessor did not catch that as part of the reconciliation process, but I did. And so, again, it wasn't great for the company, and in fact, the auditors had missed it, but I always, reflect on that, and I always tell people about, you always need to make sure you ask questions. So I'm one of those people that I like to ask a lot of questions. And so by me asking questions, I was able to find something that others didn't find. So the next position that I had, and this is actually one of my favorite positions that I've had, even though this company is no longer around, it's Blockbuster. I worked for Blockbuster for about 8 years, and most of that time I spent in international accounting. And I always enjoyed that because I had the opportunity to travel across the world, training teams, accounting teams at Blockbuster on, reconciliations. At the time, SOX was a hot topic. And so I had the opportunity to do that. I also was responsible for consolidation accounting. But if you can imagine having to train people whose first language was not English, in accounting, that was quite a challenge, but somehow I was able to do that. And it's funny that the Italians just seem to just, for some reason, even though I couldn't speak a lick of Italian, they always had me to try to help translate what the Italians were saying. But that was one of my favorite roles that I had. It taught me a lot of patience. Taught me a lot about international accounting. I like to remind SORAs that we do have international chapters. So that's something that should be very important to Zeta and very applicable to this role. I also served as senior manager of SEC reporting, so I'm very familiar with what it takes for a public company in regards to reporting. Again, we are a public entity. We report our information through the 990 process. Our information is public. And so, and we've also implemented a new annual reporting process to the sisterhood. So that's one of the things that I want to bring to the sisterhood in regards to my reporting experience. And then I also served as vice president and assistant controller at Santander Consumer USA. And when I was vice president, assistant controller, I was responsible for reporting and accounting for the assets, and our assets were loans that we had for auto vehicles. So if you see any, most of our assets had to do with Chrysler vehicles. So a lot of the Chrysler vehicles that you see out there, we had loans and leases that were our assets, and it was my responsibility to make sure that our team did the correct accounting and reporting for that. And I was also responsible just for the overall reporting that went to our controller as well as our accounting director and team. So I just wanted to just kind of say that so that you understand what my experience is. And so after serving in that role at Santander for about 12 years, I moved into working for myself. So right now I work as an auditor and a virtual CFO for various companies, mostly nonprofits. Again, very applicable to Zeta. And for those of you that don't know, my mother is a Sora and she's a CPA, an accountant, and that's who my coworker is. And I like to call myself the apprentice because I'm working with my mother to eventually take over the firm that she has been leading all of these years. So again, Soros, I wanted to make it plain in regards to my experience and what I can bring to the organization. Again, I can bring Zeta experience, but I also can bring the professional experience that I think is very important to Zeta. All right, so then this next slide, Soros, that you will see is basically more information in regards to what I want to bring in regards to trusted experience. So one of the things that I want to make sure is that we commit to regular, clear financial reporting, and that's accessible to members. So as many of you know, we do have a members only portal, but I think one of the things that we do need to work on is making sure that we make it a little bit more plain, make it a little bit more easy to find the information. So that's one of the things that I want to commit to, is making sure that we can put information out there that is a little bit more accessible and easier for SOARs to get to. Again, we have the tool out there. We just need to make sure that SOARs can truly get to the information that we need. And then continue to host TOI Talks, just like today. You know, maybe it's not called TOI Talks, but maybe it's Tamias Talks. But again, continuing to host Q&A sessions for you so that you can reach out directly to me, and not just me, but to the international finance team. And so just again, making sure that you have what you need in regards to the financial matters of Zeta. Also utilizing digital dashboards and other infographics to make things a little bit easier to understand. I don't know about you, but sometimes a picture is just worth 1,000 words. A picture can make things easier for you to understand information. So we want to see, you know, what we can do to make things easier for SOARs to digest the information that's there. Again, I might be a certified public accountant, and I might be an accountant that has been working in the field of accounting for 29, almost 30 years, but everybody is not. And so we need to make sure that we have information that is readily digestible for SOARs in Zeta. The next thing in regard to trusted experience, one of the things I want to help to bring to the organization is financial empowerment series. And hopefully some of you, again, if you've been following me, have noticed that I actually do try to engage quite a bit with you in social media. And one of the reasons why I do that is I want to see what you're doing. And so one of the things I've noticed as I've been paying attention to the chapters and the SOARs out there in Zeta is I've noticed that many of you actually do offer things or what is it, training sessions or some sort of Zoom that actually would I would categorize as financial empowerment. So one of the things that I want to do is to try to tap into that. One of the things that I realize is just because a SOAR is not, you know, is not a international officer or regional officer or some sort of appointee, that doesn't mean that she doesn't have the skill set in order to provide information to Zeta. So that's one of the things that I would like to tap into, is the tools and information that already exist, and try to put it out there so more people can actually benefit from that sort of information. The next thing is providing training and resources for chapter treasurers and financial officers. I don't know about y'all, but I remember when I first got, I like to say, voluntold to be treasurer of my chapter. You know, even though I was an accountant, it was brand new to me, right? Being able to do the accounting in a chapter. It's different working in public accounting or in corporate accounting and doing that accounting versus working directly with the SOARs in your chapter and the finances in your chapter. And so one of the things that I am working on today is what I like to call CFO, Certified Financial Officer Program, where we can begin to work on a curriculum for the financial officers at the chapter level, state, regional, and even at the international level, so that we can better train SORAs in our organization to be prepared for the finances in our organization. One thing that I've told many people is that I've noticed in regards to Zeta is that we've typically only had like one or two people, and this time we have two people running for Tamias, but Soros, we just announced that we're now at 30,000 Soros in good standing. We should have more than two people running for this particular position. And I think a lot of that has to do with the training that's needed to provide, that we need to provide to the Soros to give them the information that they need, but also to give them the confidence that they have what they need to run for these positions, and specifically financial positions. And I know that this is not just a thing at the international level. I see it also at the regional, the state, and even the chapter levels of the organization. So then the next thing is try to offer mentorship opportunities for SOARs interested in financial leadership. And I think once we tap into, SOARs that are interested in moving forward in financial leadership, we can try to utilize that as kind of like our pipeline for mentorship. All right. So the next thing that I want to go into is the sisterly centered side. And so many of you, at least I hope many of you have seen. If not, again, check out social media. You may have noticed that I have been releasing quite a few videos that highlight the travels. I like to call them toys travels that have been occurring since the campaign has started. And the reason why I like to highlight those is not just to say that I went somewhere, not just to go out and ask for your vote, but Soros, I want you to see that I'm interacting with you. I want you to feel comfortable with talking to me, and so many of you have. I can't tell y'all the countless conversations that I've had with Soros. Many of these pictures that I have on the campaign trail is just because a Sora has come up to me, and I've sat and just talked with Soros just, for, sometimes like half an hour. And I even have a picture just sitting there talking with Phi Beta Sigma's treasurer the other evening while I was in Great Lakes. We sat there and talked for an hour and a half. But that's just kind of the discussions that we have. And it's like, I end up just sitting down there, I like to tell people I'm chilling, but I end up talking about finances sometimes. But I love that because I love that people feel comfortable enough to come up to me and talk to me and tell me what their concerns are, what they need. And I want you to feel comfortable doing that. And that, to me, that's what's important. That's part of being sisterly centered is being able to be approachable enough for that you feel comfortable talking to me. And I want to continue that. And so, again, just highlighting sisterly centered leadership. Again, establishing open channels for feedback and questions regarding the finances. And so, again, wanting to make sure that we involve the International Finance Committee, having the office hours. So we want to establish office hours for the International Finance Committees so that your questions get answered. And so sometimes I think the best way to answer your questions is to let you talk directly to us, right? Not just going around and around in emails, but actually talking directly to us. So I want to make sure that we establish that. Then sending financial updates via email, social media. And obviously, Source, I know I can't send our financial statements via via social media. But again, hopefully you've seen that I've tried to put a few videos out there that are, again, a little bit fun, but hopefully they get your attention. And so I don't want to stop doing that, because what I want to make sure that we do is that we get your attention. The one thing I've noticed over the many years in Zeta is that we do have a habit of not really paying attention to just a simple email and all of the information that might be there, but we will click on something, right? That'll get our attention. So I want to make sure that we continue to do the things that will get the attention of the source and lead you to the information that you need. So again, hopefully that you'll go check out the social media and see what I'm talking about. And then also encourage collaborative problem solving. And again, I want to not only do that at the international level, but at every level. So one of the things that I've been speaking to SOARs about is I want to make sure that I'm working with the regional and the state directors, as well as the regional and state financial officers, because I can't understand what you need, unless I make sure I understand what the regions and the states needs, and hopefully the region and the states needs are making sure that they understand what the chapters need. So again, working together to make sure that we provide the information that's needed at all levels. So that was a lot. So the next thing that I want to do is I want us to answer a couple of polls just to see kind of where this audience is. The first poll, if you're on Facebook Live, drop it in Facebook Live, or if you're in Zoom, put it in Zoom. Answer the question, what financial priorities matter most to you? So A, clear, timely financial reporting, stronger internal controls, increased transparency across all levels, modernize financial systems and technology, member-friendly processes. So go ahead and just start kind of dropping that into the chat. And this is number one. Just want to see where you are.
Okay, I'm looking at the chat. Put my answers in there too.
Okay.
We have so far 3 for B, C, and D.
Okay. And that's good. That's good. So if we're saying B, stronger internal controls, that's good. That means you want to make sure that we have strong processes again, and that part of that is having the processes documented, right? So that's good. Increased transparency across all levels. I agree with that. And when we have transparency, or when I like to say transparency is making sure that SOARs understand, right? Because a lot of times we can say something, but if you don't understand it, that's not really transparent. So that's one of the things I want to make sure that SOARs are understand the information that's being provided to them. Let's see, the next one, I think you said D, modernize financial systems. And I like that one as well, is that we have we do have several platforms that we use. I know at the international level, one of the things I want to make sure that we do is that we evaluate all of that, right? How are we using that? How are we being efficient about how the information is getting into the main financial platform? Is the platform that we're using, is it, is that the best, platform for us to use? And then also looking at the regional, the state, and the chapter levels. What can we do? Because I know many of the chapters still have not implemented financial platforms, and I try to encourage chapters to try to do that. You may not be able to afford a QuickBooks Online, but maybe there's a Wave accounting that's actually pretty much a free platform, if you use it in its most basic form. But try to get off of paper or Microsoft Word, as I've heard some chapters, but I want to try to help to facilitate that. So that's good. All right. Let's see. Poll number 2. How confident do you feel about our processes? Very confident, somewhat confident, neutral, not very confident, or not confident at all. So let's just kind of see where everyone is on that.
So we got a couple of answers coming in, C and B.
C. Okay, somewhat neutral.
Mhm.
Okay. And that's not too bad, but my goal is to make you very confident, right? I want you to feel very confident on in regards to our processes. And again, I feel like again that goes back to making sure you understand what the processes are, right? And again, that goes back to transparency. So whatever I could do to make sure that you understand what our processes are, I think the more so you're gonna trust, right, and feel more confident about the processes that we have. And I think we have to make sure that we make things plain to sorors. So that's good. That's good. All right. So now it's your turn. So you can either if you're on Zoom, you can raise your hand or drop it in the chat. If you're on Facebook Live, definitely drop it in the chat and we can try to answer whatever questions that you might have.
So we have one
Laura
question.
Thurman.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Um, I just wanted to address the question in the chat real quick, Sora Brown. The first question we have is from Sora Jacqueline. Is QuickBooks cost beneficial for a chapter that brings in less than 50,000 per sorority year?
As I said, it really okay, 50,000. Actually, that's not too bad. I can just tell you when I was Tamias of my chapter, we kind of looked at it more so on, I guess, kind of like on a per member basis. I'm not sure how many members that you have in your chapter, but I try to encourage chapters that um, are approaching 100 that you probably should be looking to transition, if not QuickBooks, something, right? So, I'm not saying everybody needs to get on a QuickBooks Online, but I do think that you need to be evaluating some sort of platform to put your finances on so that you can, instead of chapters, I hope that chapters still aren't using like paper receipt books, but I know that was one of the things that we were still using when I was Tamias, when I first became Tamias of the chapter. So I think you have to really evaluate that. Again, I understand that QuickBooks Online is it's not a cheap platform. I realize that, but there are some other options that you can use. Again, there's a wave accounting that's actually free in its most basic form. So you could look at using something like that. I know that several chapters in the Southern region are actually have been using that, and they use that for reporting purposes. Heck, the investment locally we have an investment group of some Zetas and Sigmas, and that's what we use. We use Wave Accounting, and but so I think another one might be like FreshBooks. I think you just have to evaluate what's going to make sense for your particular chapter. But again, we looked at an overall perspective and just determined that it just made sense for us because what it offered us is being able to go ahead and put our finances into one platform that my chapter has been using for almost 2 decades now, and we use that for our budget to actual reporting. So we're, essentially once we complete the budget for our each year and approve it in our chapter, then the Tamias goes ahead and drops that into QuickBooks Online, and that way she's able to basically present the chapter with budget to actual reporting at each chapter meeting without too much trouble. So I think you just truly have to evaluate if that makes sense to you. um you know again, that's something that you'd have to bring to your chapter to a vote. And if it's not a QuickBooks Online, look at some sort of platform that you think might be more affordable for your chapter. Hopefully that answered that question.
Thank you, Sora Toy. And Sora Brown, I think you had a question next.
I was going to read that question, Sora, but
Oh,
You did it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'll hop over to Facebook. There's a question there from Sora Tiffany. Um, can you go into detail a bit more about CFO, your Certified Financial Officers program, and what that looks like?
So, like this is in the early stages, but I'm hoping now that since the traveling is calming down a little bit, I can get a little bit more into it. But one of the things that I do want to focus on is first of all at the chapter level, right? Giving you the basics of what you would need coming into the position. I think Sora Jackson, one of the things we talked about is like even bonding, right? Like that's
Right.
like a current, like a common question that Sora's asked about. So what about that? And so I think that, should be part of the, initial training is helping Soras and chapters to understand what that process looks like. And so that we could, assist them in that. And then training them on what the Tamias is supposed to do, what the Tamias and Grammatias is supposed to do, how they're supposed to work together. And because I think even I know I've had some discussions with Soras and and whether or not they can even work in the same platform. Yes, they can, especially like a QuickBooks Online, because essentially you can determine what access each role has. And so particularly Tamias would have a little bit more access than the Tamias Grammatias, and then there's an audit trail. But in regards to the training, I want to make sure that we're providing that base level of information. So when I think about it, just off the top of my head, like when you think about the Tamias, what type of what type of reporting are you supposed to be providing on a monthly basis to your chapter, to your executive board team, at annually? What type of reporting should you be providing? 990 reporting, all of that kind of stuff, so that she coming in, she fully understands what her role is as the Tamias Grammatias, what your role is, and what you should be providing as a monthly report to your chapter and your executive board, the membership reporting that you should be providing, how you should be interacting with ZMS, and just putting it in some sort of curriculum. And I would like to see that we could put it in such a way that it's really more of an on demand. It doesn't require that you have to wait for a certain time of year. That we could put it in such a way that Soras, once they are ready to either uh, um, run for that role of Tamias or Tamias Grammatias, or they've been elected, then they could go ahead and sign up for that training. So again, setting it up for at least, starting out at the chapter level, then having it more for like the state and regional level, and then even setting it up so that we can prepare those that are looking to serve at even the international level. Because I would like to even see just even working with the international finance team this last year or so. I think there's some things that would be good to provide ahead of joining this committee. So hopefully that answered your question. Again, this is just in the beginning phases. I kind of have an outline in my notes. But this one is important to me because, again, when I started out in Zeta and working in the finances, this is what I was looking for. So I want to try to provide Soras with something that I know I was looking for when I first started out. So hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, I know that was something I was definitely looking for also. I joined a smaller chapter, and when you join a small chapter, you are all positions. And so it would have been nice for
Yes.
me to have some sort of training, um, especially in my early days as a Zeta. So I'm really
Mhm.
looking forward to getting that off the ground.
And
Um, Go
And one
ahead.
thing I do want to add too is that in addition to the training, is to try to provide like templates. And so again,
Mhm.
hopefully you've seen as part of the campaign, I've tried to roll out a few templates, and I plan on actually trying to roll out a few more, but providing some templates for SOARs to be able to utilize, because I think part of what could help us is that if you think about it, Soros, we may be serving in different chapters across the country and across the globe, actually, but we're all kind of doing the same thing, even if large or small, right? And so I think in some respects we could be using some similar tools, and I think if we were using similar tools, then we could actually be helping each other. But I think that's what in some ways we kind of hurts us is that we say that we're one Zeta, but when it comes to finances, we tend not to be. So so that's kind of on my mind as well as part of the training. So
Okay. Next question from Sora Shana. Are there any financial practices or tools that have been most effective in helping chapters stay on budget? So you went into this a little bit earlier with just the different types of systems. And then part two to her question is, as the organization grows internationally, how does the financial strategy need to evolve to support expansion? Great question.
Okay. All right, this is good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go back to number one. Go back to number
So the
one.
first one is, what are there any financial practices or tools that have been most effective in helping chapters stay on budget?
Uh, I mean, I could tell you my experience is one of the best things to do is that you stay current on your finances of the chapter. That's the best way for you to make sure that that you stay on budget. I just know that when I was Tamias of my chapter, again, we did use QuickBooks, but I was able to utilize the information and quickly provide reporting to, say, a chair of a committee from directly from QuickBooks. And in fact, I could set up automated reporting, right? So that they could get something on a weekly or monthly basis to help them to track what was going on in their particular committee. So I would say, to me, it's not necessarily a tool. It's actually making sure that you're staying current on the finances of your chapter and making sure that you're providing the reporting to your chapter on a regular basis so that sorors have the information that they need so that they don't go over budget. So I mean, hopefully that makes sense.
I think that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, to me, so is it like, you can use Excel spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, you you have to have a finance team that stays pretty current on the finances of the chapter, because otherwise that's the only way the chapter is going to understand where they are in regards to a particular event. Because I know, even I can even think about, when I was Tamias in my region, and I made sure that I was staying current. I think we had a regional board meeting or something like that, and I could see the expenses that were coming through. I made sure that I stayed on top of that and communicated that information to the regional director at the time to make sure that she understood where we were. But again, that required staying pretty current on the information that was coming through from the bank. And again, that was because I did have a tool where I could see, the information that was coming through directly from the bank. So again, that's why it's good to have a tool where you can utilize the reporting features that it has. So hopefully that answers that question. And what was the second part? There was a lot going on.
So the second question, right? As the organization grows internationally, what does the financial strategy need to evolve to support expansion? I think that's such a great forward-thinking question.
I think that's a good question. I think, and okay, so this is a lot, but I know just in just talking with soars as I've been campaigning is that there has been like some frustration when say there's the chapter has been chartered, but there's not really like that assistance, right, in helping in regards to what to do from a finance perspective. So again, I think that goes back to training and setting up, I guess really just working to set up a chapter so that essentially they know how to just go, right? Um, uh, like one of the things that I've thought about is how can we set it up to where maybe we can, from more of a enterprise perspective, set up financial tools for the organization. So like I could just think about like for instance in my region, um, instead of just utilizing the membership platform at the regional level, we did make it available by purchasing the enterprise version because it was cheaper for us to purchase the enterprise version and then allow chapters to have the choice if they wanted to use the platform. Basically, it's theirs to use if they wanted to use or not at no additional cost, because we went ahead and purchased the enterprise version, because from that perspective it actually was more, the pricing was better, right? Because essentially chapters were paying quite a bit to use the platform individually, but it made more sense to purchase it at the enterprise level and allow the entire regional organization to use it. So I think to me, what would make sense from a growth perspective or growth and expansion perspective is for us to look at some of the tools that I'm talking about, right? From a membership perspective, right? Membership tracking, because I know many of y'all have that issue, is probably tracking the membership of your chapter. And I'm not just talking about on spreadsheets, right? A lot of times with membership, you want to have a little bit more help on that. And then the financial information in regards to your chapter. If we actually explored more of the enterprise versions, I think, of those, of some of the platforms that we're talking about, and again, it could be a QuickBooks, right? But it could be something else. But I think if we explored those and and try to maybe roll those out, I think that would position us more so for expansion and growth, because again, as you add more chapters and you basically set up a template of how to do your membership tracking and financial information tracking, then you set the chapter up for growth, right? Essentially they don't have to decide, well, I'm going to start using QuickBooks or financial platform when I get 100 members. No, we do it on day one, right? All of that starts on day one. And you think about it, if SOARs have questions, yeah, you could come to try to, reach out to me. But if the chapter next door, right, or the SOAR, that in, this particular state, good friends with her, you can just call and say, "So what y'all doing over here?" And you're working on the same platform so you can help each other. And I think that helps the organization, instead of us working on all these different tools and nobody, we're really not working together. And I think it would help us if we worked more together. So hopefully that makes sense with what I'm saying there. I just think it's really applying that one Zeta mentality that we talk about, but applying it to the finances and the data that affects our information. And one other thing I'll say too is that, and I think this was a question that popped up at the candidates forum, and I remember speaking to it, but I think we need to like really look at the analytics of our organization and understand um, how our membership impacts the revenues of our organ. Like better, I think we need more information in regards to our data. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to that, but I think in order for us to understand how our organization can grow, we need more analytics on how it's growing today, right? And how we're receiving the funds from the membership, whether it's new or recurrent, right? Just understanding. And right now, I don't know that we have that. I know we have some membership numbers. We kind of know the revenues, but I'm used to having more analytics to be able to look at and discuss so that we can better, know how to approach, however we want to grow going forward. You need to understand where you are before you know where you're going. So
Yeah, I know you and I talk a lot about just the analytics and being able to leverage those just to bring costs down, right? So even if we have having the analytics of the sorority and being able to take that to QuickBooks and say,
yeah,
this is how many people, we'd be able, how many licenses we would need, then possibly,
yeah.
get some discounts because of that.
Yep, yep, yeah. It's kind of that smarter, not harder, right? Like
Right.
I believe in that is because we have so many. I know we have like a lot of chapters that are using that platform or something similar to it. So what if we like really said, okay, what if we did this, and just even discussing it with other sorors who are in other organizations are already doing that. So
Mhm.
so it's time for Zeta to kind of, move to that next level and working a little bit smarter versus trying to basically create your own little, you know, uh, way of trying to do the finances for every chapter, right? Like if we decided this is how we're going to do it, then let's do it this way so that it translates to stores that are, whether you move to a different chapter, different state, right? Like we all understand, like that's the way it's supposed to work. Like so, but I think that would be one of the best ways to position us for the growth of the organization. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Uh, was who that sort you?
That was Sor Shayna.
Okay, thank you for that question.
Mhm.
Yeah, hopefully that makes sense to you. If not, feel free to ask more.
We have a comment from Sor Linda. She said nonprofits can get a huge discount on QuickBooks Online through TechSoup, the TechSoup platform.
Now,
That's good to know.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
You have to, many of my clients are nonprofits, but you have to be a 501(c)(3). That's what I found. And so we try to
Okay.
make sure that whenever I see my clients and I see that they're paying quite a bit for QuickBooks Online, then I go back and say, hey, did you sign up for TechSoup? So if you do, so one thing I do suggest, if your chapter has a 501(c)(3), make sure that you sign up for TechSoup and then if you don't have QuickBooks Online, sign up for it. Sign up for the highest version. I tell my clients to sign up for QuickBooks Advanced, which has all the bells and whistles, and they basically pay for QuickBooks one time per year, and I want to say it's like $170, which is dirt cheap for one whole year. Versus what they were paying every month. So yeah. And then if you already have QuickBooks Online, your 501(c)(3), then it's just a matter of downloading that information and then uploading it to the new database through TechSoup, QuickBooks Online. So no, that's a valid one. I definitely do utilize that on my professional side.
Okay. That's good to know especially with the clarification about being a 501(c)(3) to get
Mhm.
that discount. Um, One more question from the Facebook group, and you did kind of touch on this a little bit. Um, from Sora Tiffany, with chapters of 100 plus members, is there another platform other than QuickBooks, or is QuickBooks the leading option? Do you know of any other platform?
I started mentioning that before, right?
Mm-hmm.
QuickBooks is what I use. I'm not saying that you have to use that. It's just that what I'm most familiar with, that's what I've been using for years in my chapter region, and that's what I use with my clients. Uh, I know again there's a tool called Wave Accounting. So WAVE, Wave Accounting. That's a tool. Initially, it's free, but if you wanted all the bells and whistles, you do sign up for that. There's FreshBooks. Is another one. And Sora's might have some more in the chat. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head some of the other tools that are used, because I've actually had some interest of actually trying to get into those just so that I understand them better. I know internationally we use Sage Intact, so I think that's another option. I'm not sure the pricing of it, Source. I have not checked that out. Was it is it zero? Is it that might be another one. So those are like that's what I know off the top of my head. I have not used them, Soros. I have not used them. The one that I know just like the back of my hand is QuickBooks Online. Like that's what I've used for like the last couple of decades. So but definitely check to see if there's anything else that you can use. Um, hopefully that helps. I just tried to throw some off the top of my head. Again, if anybody else has any in the chat, those are the ones that I had.
Or Jacqueline mentioned Zoho books,
I
ZOHO.
have been seeing that. I
Okay.
have been seeing I've
Mm-hmm.
seen where some chapters have been using that. So yeah, check that out. Check that out. I forgot about that one. Yeah, yeah. I forgot
And
about
then the
that.
other one you mentioned was Zero, XERO is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
that one.
Okay.
That
Mm-hmm.
one. Yeah. I just always mention the two that I know very well
Mm-hmm.
is QuickBooks Online and then
Mm-hmm.
Wave Accounting. And so
Mm-hmm.
Wave Accounting is another tool. Like I said, it starts off free, but if you wanted a few more bells and whistles, then you just add on and pay for it. But it's another option. So, but the main thing is that it offers you basically the digital receipting and invoicing, right? That like to me that's big, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know if for the region, one of the things that we do is when we get the information from Zeta Member Services, our financial secretary actually downloads the information from ZMS and uploads it to our QuickBooks Online. So essentially, we have the information from Zeta Member Services uploaded into our QuickBooks. So she's able to run the reporting that she needs and do the tracking that she needs in QuickBooks by just uploading it through a kind of like a tool, an app that's added on to QuickBooks Online. But again, I'm not saying that that's something that's a tool that you have to use, but yeah, check out some of the other ones. I know I've seen in some of the like Zeta groups out there, people saying some of these very tools that they use and they love them. So I definitely say check them out. But again, one of the things I would like to explore as an organization is the possibility of us utilizing a platform. And I think the best way to do that is to look at what I call the enterprise version of it, and basically getting the best pricing, because that's the problem right now, Soros, is that we're all individually doing it, so we're paying the highest
Mm-hmm.
price out there, right? So what happens if we work to negotiate pricing with an organization like Intuit or whoever, Zoho, whoever it is, right, to get what we need. It's just a thought. So
Okay, lots of great questions, lots of great
yes, yes,
answers,
yes.
lots of engagement. I'm
I
just
love it.
checking to see if anything else popped up on Facebook. No, I don't see any other questions. And we're all clear in the chat on Zoom
Yay.
also.
Yay.
Great job.
That was great. I
Mhm.
love I love the engagement. And y'all can still ask questions. I'm just putting on the screen the QR code again. And so if you had any more questions of me, we're going to make sure to go ahead and download this recording so that Soras have access to it, and you could definitely access this on through the Facebook private group. But we're going to actually download it as well so that other Soras can get to it. And definitely, Soras, if you were pleased with what you heard, then definitely spread the word. I want Soros to be able to ask the questions that they have of me. I want you to feel comfortable with me as serving as the treasurer of this organization. So so again, we're going to have more toy talks. There'll probably be more focused on training, like some of the earlier ones were. But I'm still happy to answer any of the questions that that you have. If you're a life member, we do have a life member one coming up next week. So, are there, Sora Jackson or Brown, are y'all seeing any more questions out there? Just to make
None
sure.
on that. I'm just going to Facebook again. Okay, yeah, so Tiffany said that was going to be her next question. She had a question about is there's a discount for if we have one universal financial system. And most likely with those enterprise systems, there is a discount because of the number of licenses we would need.
Yeah.
So
And one thing you have to think about, because I was talking to another Sora about this, is that and I ran into this when we were doing this for the region. Yeah, they want you to pay for the license for for the tool, but they also want you to be on the tool so that you drive revenue for them. How do you drive revenue for them? So
right.
just think about this. Like when we were doing Member Planet, they want you to use their platform for for people to make purchases. That's how they make money, right? So yeah, they make money on the tool itself, but where they make most of their money is on that back end when they're driving revenues through their systems. So again, I just use QuickBooks Online as an example. QuickBooks Online has payment features, right? And so that's where I think, you could, leverage that, right? Because if Soros, or chapters begin using that as another tool for payments, then guess what? They want you to use their payment system so that you could drive revenues on the back end. So again, it's not just the tool itself and the overall fee. A lot of these entities, and that was one of the things that we were able to do, is to push the overall cost down when they understood how many potential, chapters or, members would be using that platform. They were like, oh, okay, we could probably collect that on the back end. So again, it's leveraging, the power that we have. And so right now we're not doing it because, we're just individually going out and just purchasing it, as an individual chapter or region or state. So we got to think differently.
I agree. Okay, well, it looks like that was the last comment.
This is good. Yeah.
It was
This
good.
is good. It's a good little long
Great
conversation.
questions. I know. I love these toy talks.
Yes, yes, yeah. And as I said, tell your sorrow friend or whatever. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions that they might have. If it's, they happen to watch it later this evening, still ask the questions. And definitely we'll try to, tap in and see if I can answer those questions. I want you to, again, understand why it's financially focused, trusted, experience, socially centered. It means something. It really does mean something, Soros, and I want to make sure that we bring that to this role of Tamias. So anyway, that's all I got.
Okay, well, thank you, Source, for joining. Thank you for your engagement. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for staying on for the full time. Like Sora Toy mentioned, there is another Toy Talk coming up next Monday. I think I have it on my calendar. Um, we'll send out the information for that. You'll see it all over socials. And if you're in the Facebook group, you'll definitely see it posted in the Facebook group. It's for life members, but all SOARs are welcome to join if they haven't had a chance to have this kind of one-on-one engagement with Toy prior to this. And with that said, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
And have a great evening.
And I'll be in New Jersey on Thursday for anybody
Yes.
that's going to be there. I look forward to seeing you.
Yes, you'll be in New Jersey. Good night, Soars.
Good night.
Hello, Dave. I know.